Okay, a few weeks ago I challenged Rachel Lerch, and I'll put a link to her channel up here, to a word challenge. And what I've come up with is bridges. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you can do with that word. I'm sure you'll come up with something really sensational, as you always do. So I'll get cracking, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Well, one thing and another, I haven't been out with the camera at all for the last few weeks with back problems and catching up with work at home, things that need to be done. But today we're off to see my son, he lives in Wales. It's about 45 minutes to an hour, but today we are going to do the bridges challenge. So I'll speak to you again soon.
So I've been challenged by a fellow friend and YouTuber, Nick Smith, to a word challenge, and that challenge is the word bridges. So Nick, I accept your challenge, but I would like to up the stakes a little bit. So I accept the challenge of bridges, but I want to add a foreground element. So let's get images of bridges with something in the foreground. So this might be a bit of a challenge for me because I can think of bridges, but I can't think of what's around that I might put in the foreground. So let's do this.
Okay, so we're out on the bridges challenge that I set for Rachel Lerch, and we're walking up to the bridge that I've chosen to as my subject. I've actually come to services, believe it or not, on the M4, but it's the bridge that links the England to Wales. So we're going to visit my son who lives in Wales. So there's a choice of two bridges that we can use. We can use the old Severn Bridge, or we can use the new Severn Bridge. But the old Severn Bridge is a lot more photogenic, I think, but we can see the new one, so we're probably going to see if we can get a couple of shots of that as well. It's a bit cloudy, clouds aren't moving too quickly, sort of like a diffused light, so hopefully we'll be able to get a couple of nice long exposures, hopefully lose the cars unless they've got their lights on, in which case we should get some quite nice light trails. We were going to go to a viewpoint which is at the services, but we've walked through to the other side of the bridge, and we're going to see if we can't get something from this side rather than the other side. But if not, we'll have to go back to the viewpoint and see what we can get. So I'll sign off here for a minute. It's a busy cycle route, so there's people coming backwards and forwards, but we're going to see what we can get. So we can get some nice pictures of the cars, and I'll speak to you again in a minute. Okay, so we've just come onto the Severn Bridge, the old one that is, and looking across to the new bridge, which is over there. I've taken a panoramic of it, but it's just for sort of my benefit of being on this bridge, I suppose. I'm actually looking to get down on the beach behind us, because there's looks like, what is it, like an old jetty or an old walkway out over to the estuary, which would make for a great foreground looking up at this bridge for a nice long exposure. So all we got to do now really is work out how to get down there and take the image. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to make our way back into the services, and hopefully see my son is expecting us. We're a bit late, but never mind. So I'll speak to you again in a minute. Okay, so we come up to the viewpoint. Looking across towards Wales. I'm taking a bracketed exposure, trying to get a bit of definition in the sky, and I think it's going to be coming out quite nice actually. Once they're blended together in Lightroom. Nice shot of the bridge. Very quiet. The tide is in, which makes a big change. It makes a bit of a difference. Otherwise, it's just a bit of a mud pit. So yeah. What I've done is I've set the telescope up in the bottom left-hand corner, and obviously the bridge goes off into the right-hand corner of the frame. And I think the telescope gives it a nice foreground with the bridge in the background, and the two go quite nicely together, because obviously you would have used a telescope years ago to look things on the bridge or look over the other side of the bridge. So foreground element, big bridge, done. Okay, so that's the images from this side of the bridge. We're going to go back and get a car, and we're going to go over to the other side, see if we can park up and get down on the beach. So I think looking up at the bridge would be quite nice as well. And there was a little jetty down there that I think I mentioned earlier that might make for a really nice long exposure foreground of the bridge. So we're going to work our way over there, see if we can find it, and I will speak to you again in just a minute. Okay, come down to the other side of the bridge, down to where I think it's an old jetty or an old walkway or something like that. But the tide's going out a little bit, so there's no water around it, but it still makes for a nice foreground interest. Got some nice light on the bridge. Done a 30-second long exposure, see if I can get some definition in the clouds. And so that's a 30-second exposure, f14 ISO 100, 2-second timer, looking towards the Severn Bridge. I think that's quite a nice image actually.